Hello and welcome to Art Bytes from the Marianna Kistler Beach Museum of Art at Kansas State University. My name is Kim Richards. I'm part of the education team at the museum, and today I'd like to visit with you about this oil painting titled Golden Lining, painted between 1980 and 1992 by Barbara Cleary. Cleary lived from 1935 to 2010. She was born and raised in Oklahoma. She earned degrees from the University of Oklahoma and Central State University. She also took extra hours from other universities across the United States, one of them being Kansas State University. She was an active member in many artist societies throughout Kansas, Oklahoma, the Midwest, and parts of the South. She would participate and often win medals in their exhibitions and shows. And she also had many solo shows. A highlight for her was when one of her watercolors was picked for the 115th annual exhibition of the American Watercolor Society. And this was an honor. This show would have started in New York, and then it was a traveling exhibit that traveled for 12 months with one of her pieces, part of that show. She was a teacher. She taught composition and drawing and watercolor at Fort Scott Community College and worked as a public school art teacher for 7 years. She began painting in watercolor in the mid-1960s, and she also did some sculpture and printmaking. But I would like to visit with you about her oil painting. In the 1990s, she went to see an exhibition of the artist Nikolai Fashin, who was a Russian oil painter. And this was what changed her mind to decide to be an oil painter. And she began painting in plein air as well at this time period. Through the 80s and the 90s, she would travel to New Mexico and Maine for inspiration. And she mastered these big New Mexico skies. She became adept at botanical painting and prairie landscapes too. And she's a real admirer of Fashin's work and Claude Monet's work. And this is what she says about one of the ways that she applies color. She says, I try to push the color and some of the principles involved in color theory in the direction that I think these artists, Fashin and Monet, might have if they were still painting today. So I thought it would be interesting to explore that idea just a little bit using another painting of Cleary's from our collection, Country Line, shown here, painted in 1994. The Impressionists were using clear, bright, pure colors, complementary colors to create light in their pieces. Instead of using a contrast of values. Sometimes an artist might use light and dark colors together to create this brightness. But what the Impressionists were doing was using things like the complementary colors. And like we see here, the blues and the oranges together. We do see the white snow, but when you look closely at it next to the blue in between the snow, there's not a lot of high contrast. This blue is not a very dark blue. It is close to the value of the white. Not quite the same, but close. And the other thing that you'll notice is the many Impressionists, especially Monet, with layer. And Cleary has got a lot of layering happening here. She's, hold on a minute, as she's layering colors, and you see it peeking through the top layer of paint. Another great way to experience this value idea is to take the painting and make it a black and white. So that's what I did here on the right. And so you can see this painting with the color taken out and just the value shown. And you can see that there's not a lot of difference between some of the spots in the snow and the color in between the snow on the lane here. And then up here where the trees are and the background, there is not a lot of variation in value. So let's apply what we've learned to Golden Lining And first, though, I think it's interesting just to take a moment to let your eye enter the picture. And so consider where you started, what drew you into the picture. Was it perhaps the action that's going on in the sky here or another spot? And then how does your eye move around and where does it finally rest? And was there anything that the artist did to help your eye move through the painting and decide where it wants to rest? And then take a moment to look at the color and the values here. Do you see complementary colors being used? Do you also see colors close in value being used next to each other? And where do you see the contrast? And do you think that the contrast is stark enough to not be considered an impressionist style? And remember, Cleary was thinking about how those impressionists may have been painting today. So maybe this is her iteration of what she thinks they may have been doing. The other thing that I would like to have you think about is, how does this painting make you feel? Does it remind you of a scene that you've seen? Does it speak to your senses? And what kind of feelings come about for you as you're looking at this piece? Another quote I'd like to share with you from Cleary is, and I'm going to really kind of paraphrase it, but she said that I can't tell people what to see because they will look at the painting through their own veil of experience. So what she meant or intended when she painted isn't as valid as what you, the viewer, bring to the piece. So I hope that you've enjoyed learning a little bit about Barbara Cleary and spending some time with her oil painting Golden Lining. And thank you for joining us today.